Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Cover One Film Room, part, of course, of the Cover One Sports Network. I am one of your two hosts tonight, Anthony Prohaska, joined by Mr. Kendall Mirsky. Kendall, how you feeling? One, about, just how you feeling in life, Bills related, non-Bills related, or our third partner in crime on this show, Eric Turner, stabbed us in the back. He's out. We're by ourselves. What's going through your head right now? What kind of thought processes you got going on?
I'll be honest. I can't hold much against Eric.
Oh, that's
obviously.
Right. You can't. Tell us why.
I've been out the last 2 weeks of Film Room.
Fending for ourselves over here.
I mean, life is gonna life, and that's the thing. Like, work got in the way for me the last 2 weeks. Work got in the way for Eric this week. It's kind of nice that it's been really lucky for us, honestly. The weeks that I haven't been able to go, Eric has. The weeks he hasn't been able to go, I've been okay. So hopefully, we can keep that rolling. I gotta say, I've watched a lot of football, like 100 hours of football in the last 2 weeks. It's been a lot. But no, it's been really nice to see the Bills as dominant as they've been. And I mean, really speaking to this game specifically, I mean, this is the revenge game that we've been waiting for like 4 years now. Like, I know a lot of people are stemming from the 2020 loss and then the 2021 loss last year, but
I'm still stemming from the Music City Miracle.
Exactly.
I will never be over it.
There's that. Obviously, I was too young for that to really experience that, but I know of it. And then on top of that, like, haven't the Bills played the Titans for 5 years in a row or something like that, including this season?
Actually, yeah, because I'm thinking back to the Tyrod game where he hurt his knee, but the Bills won. Yeah, I think they matched up, whether it's because the Bills are playing, because the AFC East is playing AFC South, or they finished in the same levels in their individual division. Yeah, it's become like a little mini rivalry. And even just from a fan perspective, like when the game's in Nashville, Tennessee fans hate it because all the Bills fans descend on Nashville because it's a cool place to go. And also it's easy to get tickets, apparently. And so Titans fans get pissed. Like, so there's the on the field rivalry. There's the fan rivalry. Also, didn't the Titans cheat and use like bots to beat the Bills for like best fan base like 2 years ago on some Fox?
I don't remember that. I do not remember that.
They bought bots to beat the Bills in the finals or semifinals, something super like petty and stupid. Yeah, there's definitely elements of rivalry for sure. I think the Titans are one of those teams outside of the division and outside of the Chiefs that I think if you polled Bills fans, it would be like, what team do you hate that's not an AFC East team or the Chiefs? I feel like the Titans would be right up there. Oh, see, Andrew says it. Yeah, they did. They cheated. Yeah, they did. They bought bots to rig some Twitter election. Just like
Bills Mafia remembers.
Like it was so, I remember it because it was so dumb. I was like, how much do you care about some stupid Twitter poll? Like, I mean, I think it was done by like Fox Sports, so I guess it's kind of reputable, but
just really,
absolutely. Ooh. Steve says it right here. Other than beating the Patriots down, beating the Titans down is definitely a bridesmaid that catches the bouquet. I love the way he put that. Very well said. And yeah, it's if you're a Bills fan or somebody covering the Bills, it's just a good time right now. If you're a fan, there's plenty of, good vibes to see every week at this point right now, knock on wood. If you are covering the Bills like we are, in addition to being fans as well, although we remain objective in our fandom and how we analyze this team and this game that we call football, just like this game that we call life. There's a lot to pull from, just offensively, defensively, individual plays, scheme, concepts, all these ideas. And Kendall, you and I have the privilege tonight of diving into this episode of the Cover One Film Room, where we are going to focus on the Buffalo Bills offense this week, in week 2 against the Tennessee Titans, just from a Ken Dorsey standpoint, a Josh Allen standpoint, several other players on offense. I don't like to use hyperbole in titles or as a way to explain things, but as the title states in this episode, like the Buffalo Bills ran circles around the Tennessee Titans defense. And that was with, I mentioned this point earlier on Twitter today, Gabe Davis picks up a knock on like Saturday, 2 days before the game. The Bills have to, in theory, edit their game plan, either in terms of plug and play of who's doing what, or maybe altering certain concepts or scripts or what they were going to do, which falls under the shoulders of Ken Dorsey. And you would have no idea with how this offense performed Monday night that anybody was missing. You would have no idea because of just how seamless this offense operated. A lot of it, stemming from the play of Josh Allen with the running game not working. Tennessee just owned the line of scrimmage versus the run. So the Bills just came out and chucked it all over the yard.
Yeah.
Josh was in complete command of this offense, but Ken Dorsey did a lot to aid him, and help him, whether with formational alignments or pre-snap little tweaks and window dressings to help him ID coverage, much like he did in week 1 against the Rams, like myself and Eric talked about last week when you left us high and dry. But it's just been early to start the year. It's only 2 games, small sample size. But this Josh Allen, Ken Dorsey relationship really looks to be cooking. And it's tremendously encouraging for potentially projecting how the rest of the year could go.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's been the big takeaway right off the bat. Ken Dorsey, and I think a lot of us felt this way. I know Eric did. I had my own bouts with doubt for Ken Dorsey.
That was a good rhyme.
Yeah, I've been rhyming a lot recently.
Bouts with doubt.
I have not been meaning to do it, but
it's pretty sweet.
Been happening naturally.
I'd keep it up.
I really didn't think he was going to start as strong as he has. I thought
Which
there
would
was
have been
be
fine.
A lot more like bumps in the roads. Yeah, just learning curve stuff. Like, okay, calling plays for the first time. I didn't really have a lot of fears with his chemistry with Josh, so to speak, because I mean, being the quarterback coach, you build a lot of chemistry. You already see Josh getting real close with what's his face, Joe Brady. Yeah, already really close with him. So it's not surprising that the chemistry is there, but from the play calling standpoint and just the control and I want to say poise. It's kind of tough to judge poise when he's up in the box and stuff, but you know what I mean? Like his play calling just feels very cool, calm, and collected. And there's just very a systematic, calculated plan to what he's doing. And it's very refreshing. It's very reassuring. And it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. It's nice.
You know what makes some people feel warm and fuzzy inside, Kendall? A nice, good cigar. And that's a perfect segue. Yeah, you won't know. I would say you're not going to know about what I'm about to say because you're too young. You're just a baby. They don't allow babies by cigars. You interrupted when my joke was going to come, but that's fine. You do you. I shouldn't have told you beforehand. I don't know if anyone's noticed here if you're watching this episode of the Cover One Film Room, but in the bottom right of your screen, underneath Baby Kendall, you will see that the show.
Yeah, that's funny.
You will see the show is now sponsored by Nickel City Cigars, located in downtown Buffalo on 284 Franklin Street. We're extremely excited to be partnering with Nickel City Cigars and just the type of place and atmosphere that they are. They are a new school boutique cigar experience for all of your allocated rare artisanal cigar needs. Shop in store or buy online at nickelcitycigars.com. Honestly, they offer an entire experience. They have a modern lounge. They have vintage arcade games. Kendall, you like games because you're a baby. Actually, I can't even make that joke. I love video games. I don't really think I'm an adult, but regardless, vintage arcade games, several TVs to have you lined up, be able to see anything and everything sports related when you need to. Boom. Awesome comment there coming in saying Nickel City has some good stogies. Kendall, stogie is a reference for a cigar. It's another name for a cigar. They have bourbon. They've obviously got cigars, local, 716 craft beers. They have a full members bar. And we're proud to partner with them because, we at Cover One, the way we approach the game and analyze the game, the culture piece is important. We recognize the niche that we occupy and the difference in how we operate versus how others operate. And their approach is similar as well. It's based in culture. It's based in that different kind of niche approach. Again, cigars, bourbon, a modern facility, arcade games, a local company that's veteran owned. It's just a really cool business and a really awesome partner that we are, proud to have their backing of and, someone that we can tout and parade here on this show. Go to nickelcitycigars.com. Use the discount code COVER1. That's cover and the number one, all one word, COVER and the number one for 20% off of your entire order. Again, at nickelcitycigars.com. You can pick up in store or you can have your order shipped to your door. Very fantastic. Or if you purchase in store, mention Cover One in store and receive 20% off of your purchase as well. Explore all of their super affordable membership options today. Kendall, you and I were talking offline earlier, when I was in New York, cigar culture was becoming this really, cool and popular thing there. And I know it's taken a hold here as well. And I love that we already got a comment about how awesome it is. And actually we might have to, I don't know from a legal perspective, if we can promote smoking with a minor on the show.
Could get dicey. Could definitely get dicey.
But it's a risk that we're willing to take because of the awesome business and product that they offer. So again, go check them out. NickelCityCigars.com. I also think the logo is really sweet.
Like it is a cool logo. Nickel. I really like that.
Pretty cool. Yeah, awesome business model. We're very proud to, have their sponsorship and welcome them to the Cover One family and have their backing. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. And
100%.
As we start to shift towards more of the film room episode of this show, I guess we could just talk about Nickel City Cigars for the whole episode. Do you think? I don't know if that's what. Again, we probably could. I don't know. That whole minor thing and smoking. I'm just a little worried.
I feel like we have to include that I'm not actually a minor, so Nickel City doesn't like pull their sponsorship.
Right? Oh, Eric came through. That'd be funny. They were like, they got a minor advertising cigars. I like how Eric came through and said, my man Kendall can get drafted, but not enjoy his stogie. Blasphemy.
Absolute blasphemy.
Oh, I like what Jeffrey's saying here. He said, boom, come in and have a cigar with me after the Miami trip, of course. Oh, very well said. Yeah, a lot of people are going to be. I think the Miami game is also an important one too. Ironically, we're going into week 3 against Miami, but usually the weather's not great around this time, and everybody gets a free trip to South Florida and can potentially watch the Bills stomp a rival. So big weekend coming for that. But yeah, take the trip to Miami, take a load off, enjoy the weekend, and then come back for a potential victory cigar at Nickel City Cigars. I like where Jeffrey's head is at with that. Kendall, in looking at this Bills offense versus Tennessee, obviously, as we set the table for us diving into the film here, what stands out to you? Is it individual performances? Is it a certain player? Is it more scheme and structure? Is it that Ken Dorsey potential calm and poise that you perceive in how he's handling and running this offense and steering the ship? Like, if you're thinking back to one thing from this Tennessee Titans game, focusing on the Buffalo Bills offense, what comes to your mind?
It's really tough to deviate from Josh Allen, considering how well he played. Yeah, I saw that. That was good stuff. Got to make sure you get the young adult rate. You know what I'm saying? Not the adult rate, the young adult rate. It's really tough not to like hone in on like Stephon Diggs or Josh Allen, and we'll jump into their RPO efficiency and how great they were in that regard. And I really don't want to take anything away from them in their individual performances, but I do feel like they were put in areas to succeed, and it was really optimized by Ken Dorsey and the scheme and the play calling and the formational reloads or the pre-snap motions and all of those things to help Josh Allen ID coverages, all of that stuff. Like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Josh Allen, but I really do think that the offensive play calling and the structure and the scheme really elevated all the talent that was on the field.
I think that's a fair assessment to make. Again, the sample size is small, like we continue, to that, like we echoed last week and like we echo this week, but you're seeing window dressing with this offense, but not window dressing for the sake of window dressing. It seems like everything has a purpose. Like you mentioned, every personnel grouping, every ounce of tempo. I even like that in the game on Monday when the offense wasn't really clicking. We saw tempo. And I don't, maybe that
late
was
in the second.
Yes. Maybe that was always going to be part of the offensive game plan, or maybe it was an on the fly call, but either way, it shows his ingenuity in staying adept and switching things up based on either preconceived, ideas that he's trying to throw defenses off or making an adjustment in the moment. Either way, it's awesome comment there from Ron saying the short passing game to stay ahead of the change has been perfect so far. That's something that we talked about this offseason. If teams are going to give you too high looks and play off and play zone, like Tennessee did at points this week, like the Rams did heavy in the first half against the Bills, take the easy yards. Defenses are daring you to try and remain efficient and remain on schedule. That's what they are doing. They're sitting there saying, he's not going to keep taking the slant. He's not going to keep taking the hitch. He's not going to keep taking the under. Sooner or later, he's going to want to push the ball. Sooner or later, he's going to want to take that shot. And when he does, we force an incompletion, get him to stay behind the sticks, or maybe we force a turnover, squeeze windows. They are daring you, much like with a light box, where defenses are daring you to run the football. And they're saying, you won't run it. Or if you do, you're not good enough to take advantage of what we're giving you right now. And yeah, the Bills, again, I think Dorsey knows that. I think Josh Allen knows that. And it seems like every game plan that they've come up with these first 2 weeks is really just, I don't want to say counter punching, because that implies that you get punched first, kind of.
Yeah,
But
and you don't have a plan going in or anything.
Exactly. They just have, they're just hitting the Titans where they don't want it. They hit the Titans where they didn't want to be hit, much like they did the Rams. Or they were giving you that body shot and they were protecting the face, and the Bills just hit the body so much and they knocked you out by breaking a rib or two. Like, they are just calculated and technical. You used that word earlier to describe Ken Dorsey and how it seems like he's, running this offense. Everything just seems calculated. Everything seems purposeful. There is no wasted play call. There is no wasted motion. If someone's coming in a pre-snap motion, it's for a purpose. If the Bills are reloading the formation, it's for a purpose. If they call this play on first down, it's for a purpose. And that's also what Ken Dorsey spoke about this. I think back during OTAs, he talked about getting everybody to understand the connection of everything. And that's something that goes back to really good offensive teams. You'll hear successful head coaches and coordinators talk about it. Like, it's not about, you're calling this pass play on 2nd and 8. And yes, you want to execute and pick up the first down or score a touchdown, but also you're calling that play to potentially set something up later in the game. And Ken Dorsey talked about that. It's about getting the buy-in and the understanding of the players to have them know what you're calling, but more importantly, the why behind it. So that way, and that's what's so beautiful. Football is a beautiful game in a lot of ways, but that's what's so awesome about it. That's what's so awesome about it is when you're doing it right on offense, one play in a vacuum, it's just one play, but that's not what it is. It connects to so much more. And the Bills, it's almost like I want to say like Street Fighter or a good like fighting game where you're chaining together combos. And if you're doing, it's not just like, punch and kick, you're chaining moves together that ends up in a devastating, like, fatality knockout shot towards the end. And that's what Ken Dorsey has curated so far in these 2 weeks, along with Josh Allen. So whether it's the continuity, whether it's just maybe poor defensive play or the luck of game plans, whatever you want to go with, they're firing right now on all cylinders. And my only, disappointment or knock on the offense is I love Ron coming in saying rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, that's right. He knows. He knows. Oh, and Devin comes in with the finishing. Well played. My only knock on this offense is I would like Josh Allen to win MVP. And if he keeps getting pulled in the third quarter, we're not going to see inflated numbers. And that disappoints me. But other than that, there's not a lot to.
I personally, and I know I talked to you about this, I wish we saw a little bit more from the running game.
Completely agree.
And I think a lot of it stems from who they were playing and the physical brand of football that the Titans are. Like, that's the embodiment of their team.
But they
stay physical.
It wasn't even like the Bills had like a little pushback. Tennessee either penetrated or pushed the line of scrimmage on seemingly every run.
Pass blocking was fine. Pass blocking was absolutely fine. There was really not much wrong with it. I think there were like maybe 3 or 4 hurries on Josh Allen like all game. It really wasn't a lot of pressure on him.
Saffold got beat once. Didn't have Spencer Brown got beat once. But it was more, the pass protection was fine.
Yeah.
But it was more, especially
pushing the run game.
Especially after what we saw in week 1, where the running game, like the performance was encouraging, whether it was the surge motion and the bits of the Kyle Shanahan playbook that Dorsey was using, or the blocking up front, like especially with a front that the Titans front isn't bad, but I mean, Aaron Donald and Gaines and A'Shawn Robinson and Leonard Floyd, like, that's a formidable front, even though the Rams are going to be playing with light boxes and the Bills ran the ball well. And so I would have liked them to continue to have that little element of the run game, the threat, that pivot piece. But then on the other side, I feel like you're going to get people to be like, bro, who cares? We put up 34 points on offense with having a horrible run game, so we don't even need the run. I just know at some point we will, and it would be nice to know that weapon in the holster is loaded with real bullets and not like, am I going to pull this out and fire it and it's empty?
When you get to the playoffs, all of your greatest weaknesses are exposed, and you don't want to show a great weakness when it gets to playoff time. So proving that you can run the football only makes your life easier as the season progresses. I will say, just a quick counterpoint off you, I do think the Titans have a better run defense front than the Rams. I think the Rams front is better, but they're particularly better as a pass rushing unit. And I think the Titans specialty, like Naquan Jones, I mean, Jeffrey Simmons, even Autry, like Autry had a pressure and a sack, but like he's a bigger dude. I think all of them are more stout in the run game than they are proficient in pass rushing situations.
I think that's very fair. Kendall, I want to get your thoughts real quick.
Mm-hmm.
This comment from Ron. Ron says, what's with giving Singletary the first series and then giving Moss the second? Keep Singletary in the damn game or give Cook Moss's carries. You and I have spoken a little bit offline.
Yeah.
Moss hasn't been a world beater.
No.
I genuinely don't get the flack that Zach Moss is getting. I think he's been fine. I think I prefer Singletary.
Singletary has been better.
Yes,
I don't think there's going to be anyone that says that.
No, I'm not sitting here saying, Zach Moss above Singletary or they're equal, but there seems to be I don't know if it's because Singletary has looked good in his flash, so people are pushing Moss down even further. But even I saw runs against the Titans where people were just like, oh, get Zach Moss out of here. He can't do anything. And I was like, that was the offensive line's fault. Right. That was terrible. And so I prefer Singletary. And I obviously you and I both love James Cook. This goes back to, before. But see, even John comes in. How has Moss been horrible?
I look at 2 rushes for 0 yards, which is fair, but he also had the best run of the day of any Bills running back against the Titans.
I still think he's the best pass protecting running back, although Singletary has improved in that regard. I'm very happy. Oh, this is funny from Josh. Josh, thank you for being here. Thank you very much for the super chat. Josh says, bruh, just trade for Saquon Barkley. I would actually be down for that. I don't know if the Giants will now.
Yeah.
He's looking a little bit more like that old Saquon. But see, even John says he's a tackle magnet. But also week 1 against the Rams, he was breaking 3 tackles a carry.
To then just get 1 or 2 yards.
Yeah. I know.
And that goes back to what I told you offline. It's I feel yes, Singletary has more proficiency when it comes to making defenders miss or breaking tackles. Mm-hmm. I think Moss's
Singletary's elite in that regard. We've talked about it. The broken
Moss's style is that running into guys and breaking tackles that way, meaning you're probably going to get tackled faster than a guy like Singletary. But I think the biggest difference is, as a fan base, when you see Singletary fail, you blame the offensive line. When you see Moss fail, you blame Moss. And what is that about? There's an inequity there. They're not being evaluated on the same playing field. If both of them are having negative yardage plays, or they're both being met in the backfield by a defensive player, that's on the offensive line. That's not on the running back more times than not. So do I think Moss deserves more snaps than Singletary? No, but I think he's being shortchanged quite a bit.
I think that also too goes back to, I still think it goes back to 2021. And I also like this comment here from Mark that says trade for Christian McCaffrey. I would also take that. I think it goes back to that 2021 and just he wasn't healthy, but people didn't really know that. And so how he, performed last year, everybody was really down on him, and Singletary looks great down the stretch. And I think, now, I think Zach Moss is coming up to, I don't want to say, I don't even think he's polarizing, because polarizing means there's people on both sides.
2 sides.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people are just down. I think there's and I think I can speak for you when I say this. We both think that Devin Singletary is the RB1 of this team, but it seems when Singletary has a bad run, it's the offensive line's fault. When Moss has a bad run, it's because Zach Moss sucks. And when Zach Moss has a good run, it's explained away by circumstantial pieces. When Singletary has a good run, it's because he's the RB1. And they're I like how you said it, there's that inequity. I think Moss still presents value. I just think it's odd how much I'm going to hate he's garnering. It's people are waiting to tweet, and when he gets a 1 yard,
he's got a 1 yard run, a 0 yard run,
get rid of him. And I'm just whoa, it's coming out there. But I think that also goes to the point of the offensive line in this past game. Even Singletary had a lot of good moves and showed some elusiveness in the backfield.
Because of it.
There were runs where we were lucky to be in 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 9 because he was getting hit in the backfield 3 yards deep, and he had to make somebody miss.
And that's why Motor is better, because he can make that many guys miss in the backfield, where Moss has to run through a guy in the backfield to hopefully get to the line of scrimmage. And that's why I think we're both here saying Motor's better, but it doesn't mean that one is just trash.
I think that's what and I think that also gets conflated. You can like one player without absolutely hating the other. You can like red without thinking blue is the worst. you can just like red more. But I get it. I do get you get the flashier guy or the splash plays from one, and you're getting more duds from another. I get how that like comes out, but I have been, I think I mentioned it to you offline Monday because I wasn't on Twitter while I was at the game, and I came back and I was reading some stuff as I was watching the game. Oh, awesome! Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, I was kind of catching up on some things and just reading. I was mainly looking for injury stuff to see if there was any news on Hyde and Jackson. And a lot of Bill stuff I kept coming across is just like a lot of, downers on Zach Moss. And I get it to a degree. I don't necessarily agree with it. Oh, I think Ron's comment here is a very good comment. Ron says, my point was not that Moss is trash. My point is Singletary and Moss should not be 50-50. I agree. I think Devin Singletary has earned the lion's share of the reps. However, we're splitting it. I think that's very fair. Well said, Ron. Well said. Oh, awesome. Ned coming in with the super chat. Oh, I also wore a shade of green again. That also kind of maybe potentially match the super chat colors. This is fun. One, Ned, thank you for being here. Thank you much for this thank you very much for the super chat. Ned says, Ant and Kendall, love your show. Ooh, what do you think James Cook showed with his late game carries Monday night? By the way, the Ralph was rocking. Yes, it was rocking. I
wasn't even there, and I know it was rocking.
It was nuts. I alluded it to it being like when Goku is charging up a spirit bomb. That's what it must feel like. It was. I felt like the concrete was like shaking as I walked on my way there. It was wild.
Well, it probably was. That's why there's new stadium talks.
That makes sense. Spirit bomb. Oh yeah, the foundation is horrible. And we're all like, yeah, the stadium's shaking, and then the building people are like, oh, the stadium.
Yeah, the stadium's shaking, guys.
Yeah, why are you guys happy about this? This is not good. It shouldn't do this. That'd be like being on a bridge and being like, whoa, the bridge is wobbling. You wouldn't do that. You'd be like,
this is so cool.
What is? Yeah, you wouldn't be like, sweet, this might fall. Kendall, I'll let you lead off with it first for Ned's question here, and then we'll jump into the film. What do you think about James Cook? Showing with his late game carries. I know we had that big one on that crack toss, I believe, where Deion Dawkins absolutely murked that corner on the outside. Yeah. And then, Cook gets up the sideline. He obviously showcased that speed and that burst. What do you think James Cook showed with his late game carries Monday night?
What I should lead with is the caveat of playing with backups for the most part and against backups. So that needs to be baked into the evaluation. But one thing is clear. I mean, if you give this guy space, he is unlike any other running back we've had on the roster since Josh Allen's been on. Well, Shady, outside of Shady, but point still remains. How dare you? How dare you, sir? Point still remains, though. I mean, he's much more of a playmaker in regards of busting angles. Like the announcer said it. Like if Caleb Farley wasn't on the field for that play. That was a house call. That was a touchdown 100%. Like Caleb Farley is an absolutely supreme athlete, and so is Cook. But that's the kind of guy that it's going to take to chase down James Cook. And if you give him that kind of space, you saw the Bills going after that toss play multiple times. That was just the first one that actually stuck.
It did not work earlier in the game.
Yeah, like they got the crack block down. They got Dawkins out cleanly to pull outside the numbers. They had Gilliam with the cavalry. It was everything you wanted to see on that crack toss, and it finally hit, and you got to see exactly that playmaking ability, that second gear, all of the stuff that we've been clamoring for at the running back position. So that's kind of the thing that you should take away from it, just that game breaking, that breakaway potential. But he is still someone that's going to need it schemed up for him, at least at this point. I don't think he's necessarily the guy that's making people miss like Singletary is. He's not doing that yet. And I think that he has the potential to do it. And I think he could grow into that, and that could come. But as of right now, I think he's going to be a guy that kind of needs space to maximize his potential.
Real quick, this comment here saying they never tried that toss play with Cook earlier. Cook is a different player, so how could we say it would not work? It wasn't working earlier because of the blocking scheme not executing. There was penetration right away on that crack toss piece.
I think that was the third crack toss with Cook.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Maybe the second, but I know they tried it multiple times.
Everything with the run game, even before that, again, a lot of it was just there was either push happening, so the running backs had nowhere to go, or there was penetration in the backfield, and thus before the running back, like what was happening earlier in the game, like Cook was able to get to that edge and get upfield. Previously in the game, running backs, it doesn't matter who your running back was.
He couldn't
They
even
weren't
turn
getting
it
that edge.
upfield.
They weren't getting that edge. I don't care if your running back was Bo Jackson. There was like a problem with penetration. And see, Jessica comes in and says, a comment here. She says, Ant, Cook was against a defeated team, second team. It was meaningless.
That's the caveat. They're
yes,
like mentally
that's the balance.
deflated. Yeah.
That's the balance that you run. And I think to sum it all up, I'm in a similar boat. I think you saw the glimpse of why James Cook was drafted, why he's a viable NFL, running back potentially, even as a rookie. I will say I want to see him do it with more consistency in some way, the run or the pass. I think we're still in a spot of determining how many touches James Cook has earned. I'll give you the one. Oh, they motioned him out, or not even motioned out. He was lined up out wide early in the game, and Zach Cunningham comes up and lines up one-on-one, and Josh Allen went to the other side of the field. This is in the first quarter, and I was screaming like, oh my God, he's one-on-one with Zach Cunningham. Cunningham can't cover. Cook can run receiver routes. Give me that matchup. And nothing happened with it. They go back to it later. Right. Cook goes to run a little out and up, and Cunningham just kind of contacts him a bit, and Cook goes right down, just like fell over, toppled over. And Josh threw it anticipating Cook was going to get around him, and the ball just kind of fell to no one around, I think the 2 or 3 yard line.
Yep.
You're still waiting to see things click more for James Cook. And I do think it's a positive sign for him to get that carry. As someone mentioned in the comments, I think it's nice for him to get his confidence potentially back, especially after having the fumble against the Rams. But I think we're still waiting for that impact. I don't want to say he doesn't look lost and he doesn't look like he's outclassed, but things just don't look like they're clicking for him. Things look like you're watching him process, or you're watching him try and make decisions rather than just playing out there. It was nice and encouraging to see that run at the end of the game. But where the game was in the game script, I'm not putting a ton of eggs into that basket, but it's a nice start. We'll see where he goes from there. Again, regardless, he offers an element that none of the Bills running backs have. That receiving ability, that speed, that burst. Singletary and Moss, neither of them have it.
What I didn't add also, he actually was fighting for yards quite admirably.
Oh, fair, yeah.
I really wasn't expecting that from him all that much. And he was really fighting for yards. That 4th and 1 comes to mind late in the game. There were multiple times where he was really stretching out and fighting through contact to get first down yardage. So that was very encouraging to see a box that wasn't necessarily checked coming out of his college reps, all that stuff. That's not necessarily his forte.
Very fair. Yeah, he's more of, line him up out wide, get him matched up against a linebacker, see what you get, screen game, receiving piece, home run threat, maybe like 5 to 6 carries a game, something like that. I think he's still carving out his niche and his role within this team. But again, it's something to track, and I think it's something, exciting to watch, because you see the talent, you see the skill set, and it's very exciting when it hits. You know what else is exciting when it hits? Film, Kendall. And I think that's why the majority of people are here. We've set the table with some questions from the live chat and the engagement and the back and forth, but I think it's time for us to pull up the film on the old Cover One film room. Let's dive into this first play right here, which, surprise, is going to start with Josh Allen, and I wonder why.
Yeah, it's going to start with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. We talked about earlier in this episode how they were really hitting on this RPO stuff, the quick outs on the RPO game, all game. And a lot of it had to do with the looks that they saw pre-snap, and a lot of it seemed very predetermined from Josh Allen, where it's just like, oh, okay, this guy's in off coverage. I know I'm going to give a slight little fake to the running back here, but I'm not even going to let it get in that guy's gut, because I want to make sure we can maximize the yardage after the catch, get the ball in Diggs' hands as fast as possible, and let him make some magic out of it. He didn't necessarily make any magic out of these plays, but he was ahead of schedule all game. Dorsey kept this team ahead of schedule all game. Him and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs ahead of schedule because of these plays, just biting off 8-9 yards at a time. At one point, Diggs had 12 of Josh Allen's 26 completions. They were force feeding him.
Yeah. And it makes sense. I mean, given the Titans secondary, Farley was in and out. Christian Fulton was out for this game. I even liked it one point in the game, especially in the second half, they started just getting Diggs away from McCreary and just started taking advantage of the Diggs versus Avery matchup,
Yep.
which annoyed me a little. I mean, you know how much I love Roger McCreary. I wanted to see him go toe to toe with Stephon Diggs in a variety of routes, and they just kept like getting him on these RPOs, these free access looks. But it's smart offensive football, and this is, I think, what we talk about. The play calling and the design, but a lot of it too is the command of the offense from Josh Allen. You are getting this RPO action, so Josh is making this read. It could be post snap, reading a second level defender, but exactly to your point, this one just seems almost predetermined. And this came in that stretch of, and maybe this call is coming down from the booth or maybe it's coming from Joe Brady, but they're just seeing the Titans corners. Like, look how far off they are. Like they are just giving you these free access RPOs. And
Speaks
Josh
to the
just,
point you talked about earlier about if the defense is giving it to you, take it.
Take it. Like this isn't sexy. This isn't going to get all the oohs and ahs, but it's getting you minimum 6 yards every single time. Diggs puts his shoulder, gets upfield a little bit, gets more, and now you're sitting there and all of a sudden 1st and 10 becomes 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, and you just keep, death by 1,000 cuts, little by little by little. And what's so nice about an RPO is when it's run correctly, the defense has no answer. The
Literally
whole
can't be
idea,
right.
correct. If it's run correctly, you are wrong no matter what you do. That's what is so that's why RPOs are so popular. It can make you right almost no matter what. Oh, cool. I'm reading this guy. If this guy stays, I hand the ball off because we have the numbers advantage in the box. If this guy comes, okay, I pass it over the top. Or in this instance, you're just straight reading the off coverage from the corner on the outside, and you're not even really going through with the RPO, with the R part of the RPO action. You kind of do it just for the sake of it, and then you just hit that free access piece right away. And you can tell like Josh like starts to give the handoff like action, and then it's just like, nah, screw it.
Yeah.
And just chucks it out. And the timing is beautiful. Again, take what the defense gives you. Who cares how sexy it is or how complicated it is? Sometimes the simplest answer is the best answer. These guys are going to play off you that much. Take the yards. It's free. It's easy. That's why it's a free access RPO. They're giving you that. Take it. Give what the defense takes you. And then maybe, not only are you gaining yards now and winning in a vacuum, but maybe looks like this may lead to something positive down the road. Who knows?
Who knows? We will get
Spoiler, it does, and we're going to show you.
Moving on to this next one. This is a very interesting way to juxtapose what just happened on the first play and then what's happening here. You see pre-snap, you see more press coverage, obviously not as much distance in between Diggs and the corner here. And then this is where you kind of see some of that. I don't know if this is Dorsey, I don't know if this is Allen, but I'd like to think that part of this has to do with Dorsey and the idea of, all right, let's change this from a 3-by-1 into a 2-by-2. And then you see that corner gets a lot more space here on Diggs. And because of that, you open up this idea for the RPO. Once again, same kind of idea. And if you look at it, you see Josh Allen's head. Watch his helmet as this is happening. You can see his eyes are right on that corner. He can see it the entire time that corner is backing off while Knox is coming over to make this a 2-by-2. And once again, doesn't even let the ball get into Singletary's gut. It once again seems predetermined. You see that. You see the motion come over, and he's like, all right, this is easy free access, quick out RPO. Once again, we will take the 8 to 9 yards every single time.
I love this comment from DF Forever saying, this is what New England with Brady used to do. Drove us nuts. New England used to do death by 1,000 knives to us until our defense got frustrated, and then New England went deep. Watching this offense is like watching Brady. Very high praise, but I think that the sentiment is there. Yeah, like Brady would just, oh, cool, you're going to back off? Okay, James White is about to have, 10 targets and 9 catches. Or, Rex Burkhead or Danny Woodhead or just all these underneath receivers, because he would just take what the defense gives you. And that's what these defenses are daring Josh Allen and the Bills offense to do right now. Like, they are telling you, we're playing off. We're trying to limit the explosives. We don't want to give you chunk plays. We don't want to give you anything down the field. We're going to give you the underneath part of the game, challenge you to read it consistently and on consecutive plays. And we're going to challenge you to go, 10 plays in 78 yards or 12 plays in 78 yards. And again, this is just a nice piece of Josh and Diggs being on the same page. Diggs recognizing the cushion, Josh Allen recognizing the cushion. And then this one too, you also see a little bit of that speed and that acceleration from Stephon Diggs. He makes the catch here on this free access, and he turns upfield in the blink of an eye, takes the angle, gets upfield, and ends up, I believe he gets the first down on this run.
I think this is one they took back. They
Is
thought
it
he had the
the-
first
Oh yeah,
down,
that's
and
where
they took
the
it back.
ball was in his outside hand and it like swung
Yeah.
behind him.
Yeah.
And so they ended up being short of the sticks. But this is, again, take advantage of what the defense gives you, especially when you see that corner. And look at two, if you go to the snap of the ball, not only does the corner back up off Diggs, watch how fast he gets into his back pedal as soon as this ball is snapped. Bang,
Oh,
bang,
yeah.
bang, bang. He's bailing like right away. Like he is playing top down, limit the explosives, limit the deep ball right away. This is, someone said it earlier, and I'm not making a joke for you, Kendall, but like it's like taking candy from a baby. Like this is just easy. Like they're going to give you this, attack it, take it, and it's also a nice wrinkle with, that RPO piece. If they're giving you like a light box, you can run the ball and take advantage of the light box, but you can also hit these quick passes. I feel like a lot of people think RPOs are more of, the fake the handoff and then the slant or attack the middle. But they can also just be these outside looks where you're just taking advantage. And, then if you get into more complicated things like you take the run game and see what you can do with that in conjunction with these two, and you start working different parts of the field. Ooh, Eric coming in with Eric wasn't able to be with us, but he's here with us in spirit and in the chat. And this is an excellent point. Eric says the run game didn't get going versus light boxes because Allen threw so many of these free access routes. And that's also a good point too. And so I got distracted by his comment, but this is what I was trying to allude it to. These short passes we talk about all the time, just like screens, just like, check downs, they're extensions of the run game.
Right.
So your run game isn't going, but these quick passes, these free access routes in the RPO game, they function as an extension of the run game. They're simple, they're effective, they take advantage of what the defense is giving you, and it also serves that larger function in eventually defenses are going to have to start creeping up because they have to honor how you're gouging them underneath. And if they don't, you keep taking advantage of it and you keep hitting these free access routes. If they do come up, then you have the opportunity to take the shot play down the field. And it's part of why everything is interconnected. And again, it's just really sound design. And also, I think anticipating what your opponent is going to do and how defenses are playing you and attacking what they're trying to do and making them wrong. It's really beautiful.
I think the really interesting thing is everything we just talked about and how often like these turned into passes and quick outs. Like Eric was just talking about, he's saying in the chat, like counted 12 RPOs, only 2 ended in handoffs. Yet on this next play, you'll see the Titans are respecting the run game here. And I think a lot of this has to do with, this is the same drive that Zach Moss bursted off that 17-yard run.
Zach Moss RB1? I'm just kidding.
Don't do that. Don't do that. People will take you seriously. But this is the same drive that Moss had that run where I think it was 17 or 18 yards, and it was from a shotgun. I believe it was from shotgun. So yeah, perfect. Thank you, Eric. Ghost Eric is right on my side here.
Eric the Ghost is crushing it tonight.
So obviously they're respecting the run action here from this RPO, and you see both safeties creep down, and it's just one-on-one with the corner and Diggs. And this, I told you this pre-show, this just reminds me so much of the RPO to, I believe it was Davis last year against the Patriots. You see both those safeties creep forward on this RPO action, and it just opens up everything on that quick slant RPO. But a lot of this, like I said, stems from the fact that that running game has to be respected. And I think that's the next evolution to making this team even more indefensible than it already is. Because obviously, like we just saw it on Monday night, it's already very difficult to defend Josh Allen. But if defenses have to respect the running backs in addition to Josh Allen's legs, this RPO game becomes even more deadly.
Yeah, and again, that's the point. Like we keep hammering home you can be successful in play action, and you don't need to be like a good running team or having success in the run to be good with play action. You don't have to necessarily have success with the run all game to be able to threaten defenses with the run action of an RPO, but it definitely helps. And this RPO comes after that Zach Moss explosive run. And what's also nice is it comes in the red zone. So everything starts to be condensed, and you have to honor almost everything if you are the defense, because any successful gain, if it's 5 yards, 6 yards, it starts to move that offense closer and closer to that goal line, closer to that lower red zone, which makes the odds of a touchdown higher. So between knowing the context of where you are on the field and also what happened earlier on this drive, it's a good play call, good design again. And this time we see the glance route from Stephon Diggs cutting across the middle of the field. And this is just a simple piece. Josh Allen's going to snap this ball, and he's going to read that safety right there. So he reads Amani Hooker, number 37. He watches him come down, and Hooker and Byard are communicating with one another right before the snap already. They're talking, they're chatting, they're seeing what's up. And, man, Eric's in my brain. Yeah, Diggs scored on this on Janoris Jenkins last year against the Titans.
Oh my
as
God,
well.
yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah, that was part. I'll always remember that game because Louis Riddick said Jackrabbit Jenkins like 75 times that game, and I wanted to punch through my TV. Yeah, he beat Jenkins almost on the exact same type of ball placement on this route as well. Similar option in the red zone, but Allen's going to read Amani Hooker there, and it's simple. If he stays, he's going to hand this ball off. If he's going to come forward, Diggs is going to replace where Hooker was, and Josh Allen's going to fit it right in. These RPOs can attack multiple points. Sometimes it's a second level defender. Sometimes it's a third level defender. Usually it's that overhang type of player, that apex defender, that first defender inside underneath from the corner. In this instance, again, it looks to be Amani Hooker, and boom, you're highlighting him right there. And you can watch, as he comes down, Allen immediately recognizes it. And what's even worse, forward. Yes. And what's even worse is Hooker, not only does he come forward, but he also steps to the outside, which opens up that inside window for Diggs on the glance. And, Byard's coming forward as well, respecting the run. You just see all eyes forward because of the situation, because of what happened earlier on this drive. And again, this is why this play is designed to make you wrong, because if you rewind it again, doesn't matter from what angle, go in slow-mo. Say Hooker stays, right? Say Hooker doesn't come forward.
Draw something right here.
Yep, you got him right there. Boom. Say he doesn't. Go in slow-mo. Pause it. Say Hooker doesn't come forward and he stays back around the 5-yard line. If Josh Allen hands this ball off, look at that hole between Dawson Knox and Spencer Brown there on the right side. There is a large alley for the running back to get through. And if the safety isn't already coming downhill, you're looking at an easy 4 or 5 yards. And then who knows if the running back breaks a tackle, or if you take the wrong angle from depth, or you misplay, you miss the tackle, it's an easy run piece. This is why these plays can be so deadly, because if Hooker stays to guard against the pass, you hand the ball off and you take the easy 5-6 yards. If the guy comes up, you have the potential to, get him for the touchdown and get him for 6 like they do here. Again, it seemed like all game, no matter what the Titans were trying to do, if they were doing A, the Bills did B. If they did B, the Bills did A. It had to be so frustrating. And that's why we titled this episode, running circles around the Titans defense, because it seemed like old Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. Like the Coyote was just like he had the perfect plan. He had a bunch of Acme TNT and dynamite, and the Roadrunner was just like, I know exactly what you're going to do, and I'm going to blow you up.
Yeah, pretty much. No winning against the Buffalo Bills. And that's kind of the argument right now. They're just indefensible.
And that's why also, if they get more, contribution in the run game and they're able to use that, then that's another piece. So again, there's all these different options: RPOs, play action, spread, 21 personnel, zone runs, power runs, read option, quarterback runs. You literally have almost the entire menu is available to you on an offense. And that's not even the best offenses. They don't have everything from the menu potentially available to them. So if they also add success in the running game, it just becomes another thing that defenses have to account for.
Right. 100%.
Oof.
So that was the RPO segment, the Diggs RPO connection segment. Now we're kind of getting more towards Ken Dorsey segment, really talking about how Dorsey is just scheming things up, kind of similar to that conversation we talked about, just in a very calculated manner. Obviously, you get to the red zone doing kind of your traditional stuff the whole way down the field. Then you get to the low red zone here, and you pull out a fullback screen to Reggie Gilliam. But this is a very like deceptive fullback screen because you see it right off the rip. You see Saffold pulling across the formation, and the lineman that gets out in front of this play is Spencer Brown
all the way
on
from the backside
of the play. And honestly, this is another one of those where it's like illegal man downfield potentially, but I don't know if he got a little far downfield, but either way,
refs don't care about any of that.
Yeah, they don't care about that. It's the most inconsistent call of football right now.
Because the refs hate defense.
But check out both Saffold selling the run fake on this play, and then Brown just, almost running like a leak route in a way.
Oh,
getting across the formation. No one notices him, just going against
so
the grain of everything. And then, how about Reggie Gilliam with the contact balance to break off Zach Cunningham and then get in the end zone? Really great play call, but then great job by the personnel to execute.
Yeah, this was a nice one to see. And honestly, I like the scheme and how it was drawn up, but the Titans kind of foil it. Like Zach Cunningham makes a good play, and this looks like it should be dead to rights. And there always seems like there's like one play a game where there's that there's two defenders about to hit a guy, but the first one kind of like spins the ball carrier around and it throws the second defender off.
Missed tackle on the second,
and then the guy is just like scot-free upfield. That's what happens on this one. And again, I love the play design. I love Spencer Brown leaking out from the backside and trying to set up. They're trying to set up basically like a wall, almost like on a punt return at the 10-yard line. So that way Gilliam can get scot-free between the numbers and to the sideline and get right up. But again, Cunningham makes the play. So you get the run action from Saffold, which fools the front. You get Spencer Brown leaking around the edge, and you don't care about that right side because you're going screen to the left anyway. So if you suck in those defenders or they're hesitating for a moment, doesn't matter because you're going left side. But Cunningham makes the play. Like he actually kind of reads it. He's keying in on Gilliam. He gets underneath Van Roten.
Yep.
Yes, beats Van Roten. Just can't bring Gilliam down. And this is, again, we're adding up all these things. This is why it's so frustrating to play this Bills offense, because you've got plays where it's just scheme, right? Yep. Granted, Allen and Diggs were making these RPOs work, but it's got that play design element to it. This one has the play design element, but if you're the Titans, you beat the design. You beat the scheme. You had multiple guys with a shot at Gilliam who made a play on this, and Reggie Gilliam instead played above the scheme and made the play. Like, that's where it just gets so frustrating. This time you read exactly what's happening, but you get beat by the man. Other times you're getting beat by the scheme. Sometimes you're getting beat by both. It's just another example of how the Bills offense can win even when things don't go right, and executed by someone who I'm very high on. Reggie Gilliam.
Yep.
I've been a huge fan of Kyle Shanahan and how he uses Kyle Juszczyk and why he uses Kyle Juszczyk. And I think Gilliam is off from Juszczyk because Juszczyk is an all-pro and an absolute chess piece weapon. But I think Gilliam is in that light mold and potentially on his way to being like a Weapon X type of chess piece. And really encouraging. Nice burst from him, breaks the tackle, gets upfield, plays above the scheme, and first touchdown of the game.
Two things to add on this play, Josh Allen centric. Firstly, just look at him being a good teammate and pulling out the homage for Gilliam with the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
That's love that. And then I saw your comment in here, Zach. I was literally about to get to that and then saw this. The play fake, it's so underrated with Josh Allen.
We've highlighted it so much on the show, though. He's beautiful.
But I feel like nationwide, I feel like it's really slept on because you don't see Josh Allen under center as much as most teams across the league.
Fair.
So you don't get to see this a lot. But just look at that. You show the ball out to one side to
completely hidden.
Show the counter, and then exactly. It's hidden on his right hip there, and then you get the left hand putting the actual play action in. And most of the front still thinks Singletary.
I was going to say, look who is that with the red sleeves who's going hard?
Naquan Jones. I could be wrong.
That's super funny. The Bills should get him too, so you have Naquan and Daquan.
And that's why it's funny that he's on the Titans.
Right, what are the odds? And he comes screaming down the line at Singletary, and then you see him just kind of push him over and be like, oh, he doesn't have the ball. and then he like turns back. But by that time, you're already done. Yeah, the ball fake is a great piece. I think that doesn't get highlighted enough for quarterbacks unless you're Aaron Rodgers and
Yeah.
Brady. I feel like that ball fake piece doesn't really get talked about enough. But Josh has crafted.
He's
that.
gotten
And
real
also-
good at it.
Yes, and when you have that size and frame, it's easy to hide the ball in
Yeah.
your pocket. Like that's
Yeah.
a great piece, great call out.
All right. So moving on to the next one now, we got a little bit of scheme again.
Zach
and
Moss, RB1.
yeah, Zach Moss is in on a lot of these plays apparently. I didn't mean to do that. I swear to God.
Hold on, time out. I got to pull up this
yeah, what's
comment.
up?
I don't know if this is a joke or not. RJ says it's because Josh practices close-up magic tricks. I actually think that helps him with these fakes. I don't know if this is true or not. Does Josh Allen practice close-up magic?
I don't know, but it also wouldn't shock me.
I want this to be true. Also, I think it would just be funny if RJ was messing with us. Either way, I need to know if this is a true thing. This is
Either
fantastic.
way, great comment.
Yeah, either way, great comment. Continue with the film.
Could be completely invalid, but great comment.
Right? We look like idiots. You believe Anthony and Kendall think that Josh Allen does magic?
I mean, he does. It's just with a football.
I was going to say it's with his throws. Oh, no. He says, RJ says, no, it's actually a thing. There was a video with him on it. Well, I know what I'm doing after this episode.
Yeah, I was literally just going to say I'm doing that immediately after.
Oh, a lot of people know this. John comes in and he's like, it's true. Oh, man.
I guess we're living under rocks or something.
Yeah, I've never paid it. We're watching too much game film. We need to be watching more Josh Allen close-up magic.
Yeah, YouTube stuff. All right, so moving on to this next one. Last one, obviously talking about how Dorsey's kind of getting the team in the right situations. And this is another situation like that. You see them starting in I formation. What is this? 22 personnel here. And then you see them reload the formation, get Gilliam and Morris out wide to the same side as Kumaro. And you get a 3-by-1 set here and shotgun. And as everyone's shifting, you can kind of see what the defense is planning to do. It helps you kind of ID what's going on in that regard. See them check into cover one. And you can see post snap too with all of these crossing routes. It makes it really, really easy to diagnose if it's man or zone right off the bat. And you can see it from the end zone angle too. You can see Josh Allen just staring right down the barrel, down the hash marks on the right side. And you can see he's obviously, keying in on what's going on with that safety. But if you have people just chasing your guys, then, I mean, more likely than not, it's going to be man. And with the concept and all the crossing routes, you can see the kind of separation that Knox has on McCreary here. Obviously, McCreary starting off with outside leverage, so he's kind of working from behind on this one. But you got Knox on the drag route here with a lot of separation there, as I already mentioned. And just really great job by both Josh and Dorsey kind of working symbiotically to make sure you know what's going on pre-snap and then being able to execute post-snap.
For me, I want to highlight what Reggie Gilliam and Quentin Morris do on this play because this goes from a power football type of look. You're in 22 personnel. So whether, offense could be expecting play action, or maybe you're going power run, or you're going gap, or you're going counter, or you're going zone, whatever the hell. You're in 22 personnel and you're in, an I formation with two tight ends hipped off to the right side. And then they motion and reload into a 3-by-1 set with Reggie Gilliam and Quentin Morris in the slot. Quentin Morris as the number 2 receiver, Reggie Gilliam as the 3rd. I know this play goes to Dawson Knox, but just watch Reggie Gilliam. We'll start with him. Watch Reggie Gilliam just get upfield, not like a fullback, like an athlete, like a person who's comfortable running routes. He even gets rerouted and keeps going smooth, fluid, stays on point, actually gets upfield a little bit and has an opportunity to make this catch. And then you've got Quentin Morris, who, former wide receiver, comfortable in space, comfortable running routes. We know that from the preseason. And you see him in the slot there, and he gives you another potential option as somebody who's comfortable. This time, he's just more straight decoy, and he's dragging his man across the field, which clears it out for Knox on the back end. This is, for me, I take this into something we talked about a lot this offseason, multiplicity and versatility. It's why we like Quentin Morris. It's why we like Reggie Gilliam. What's very nice is being able to get to multiple looks without having to change personnel. The Bills start out in a traditional running formation, like a power run formation. Again, you can run zone out of it, you could run gap, you can run power, you can run counter, you can run a multitude of things. And then they switch into more of a spread concept, and you're in a 3-by-1 formation. And two of your quote unquote power guys, your heavier personnel guys, your second tight end, and your fullback are lined up as your number 2 and 3 receiver. And they actually can live and breathe and function in that space.
And that's the beauty of the multiplicity, because as I
Yes.
just highlighted, they only have 4 DBs on the field.
Yes. Yes. It just forces your hand. And now if the Bills, want to run the ball, they can run it out of that power look. But again, you highlighted the 4 DBs that are on the field. If there's 4 DBs on the field and there's 4 down linemen, that means at the very least you got 3 linebackers there on the field. Well, if you have 4 down linemen and 4 DBs, you definitely have 3 linebackers. But now you've got linebackers on the field. Why are they on the field? Because they see your personnel grouping.
Yep.
They're going heavy. They're going 22, so they have a fullback and they have an extra tight end. We probably think the run is coming. Let's load up and go base personnel. Let's go 3 linebackers. Let's go with more of a heavy look so we can execute these run fits. Then you reload, you get into a 3-by-1 set, and now Quentin Morris and Reggie Gilliam, they have a mismatch advantage, because who's going to be on them? At least one of them is going to see a linebacker. And in this instance, Reggie Gilliam in the slot there, he's got Zach Cunningham on him. And Zach Cunningham cannot cover worth a lick. Zach Cunningham is good coming forward. He's gotten better in that aspect of his game. But this goes all the way back to his time in Houston. He's never been strong in coverage. That is not his strong suit. Right. He almost just tries to reroute Reggie Gilliam here as a last-ditch effort. And, Byard at the deep safety, he goes with the throw. But if Allen maybe led him with his eyes, he could have come back and hit Reggie Gilliam.
Thing. I'll pause it before Allen makes the move. So this is about the move when Allen's about to start his throwing motion right here.
Gilliam's gone because Cunningham is beat. Yep. McCreary's coming along with Knox, and Byard's too far.
A little bit of separation right there. This guy's trailing with Knox over here. And then obviously this is Byard back here.
But again, it's another option.
Like, this is open, but that's the point that you're saying. Like, there are options on this play, and that's the beauty of multiplicity within your personnel. Being able to live in 22, but make it seem like 11 somehow. It's very beautiful.
That's actually that's an awesome point. Like, you're in 22 personnel, but you're running like an 11 personnel type of formation. And because you force the defense's hand to match your 22 personnel, you now have the advantage, because your second tight end and your fullback can both function in the pass game. And guess what? That third linebacker you brought in, and even if you're Tennessee, your second linebacker and Zach Cunningham, your second linebacker can't cover. Your third linebacker probably isn't as good of a cover guy as your nickel guy was going to be, or even a 5th DB in general. Now you've got that mismatch. You've got a heavier personnel guy on your offense who can run receiver options, who can function in space like that up against bigger, heavier, thumping, run defense focused type of defenders. It screams mismatch. It screams mismatch. You're able to get to more of the menu without having to turn the page. That's exactly what it is, right? Everybody has the same menu, but usually you have to turn the pages to see what's on the rest of the menu. Having personnel versatility like that puts more of the menu on less pages.
One page.
Boom. And that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's really exciting stuff. The way that they're getting the most out of that personnel versatility. All right, so we're entering the portion of Film Room where we're kind of just ogling over Josh Allen and his arm talent. On this play here, we'll see the Titans drop into kind of weirdly not wide cover 2. But you kind of see the second level of this defense get sucked up by the run action, and it makes it really easy for Josh Allen to throw over the top of them as they're bailing backwards. And you see Isaiah McKenzie just kind of sneak behind them as they're all biting on the run fake. And he gets in between those two safeties, dropping into their deep halves. But in this angle, you can really see the magic that is Josh Allen. Definitely not the cleanest of passing mechanics on this play, but does it really matter when you have that type of arm talent? That being said, I mean, really just, you didn't see the Titans drop into cover 2 a whole lot in this game, if I'm not mistaken. But the one time that they did, or I don't want to say the one time because they definitely did it more than once, but they did it here and they got beaten for it. So that's kind of the thing here. I saw a lot more cover 3 and cover 1 from the Titans in this game. And I'm not saying that Josh Allen's a cover 2 beater, but knowing that there are multiple ways to beat different coverages within this offense and how Dorsey's going to set them up in ways to have multiple routes, not necessarily just, oh, okay, this play is going to beat this coverage. Oh, okay, this play is going to beat that coverage. Having multiple routes in each play to kind of bail you out in case you're not getting your pre-snap stuff correct. But this is a great job by McKenzie to get into that soft spot as quick as he can so Allen can identify him and get the ball onto him quickly before the safeties take his head off.
Yeah, this is, I love the piece you mentioned about like having multiple options. Like that's the advantage of having a quarterback that can go through their progressions and go from 1 to 2 to 3 or even 4. Like that means you're able to read coverages and you're able to, maybe you're IDing everything perfectly pre-snap. And so, I've seen this. I recognize what the safeties are doing. This is definitely cover 1. I'm going to hit this route, or maybe you check to something to take advantage of it. Or maybe your pre-snap picture was wrong and now you got to read something post-snap. Either way, Josh Allen turns his back to this defense. He turns, he's able to read the coverage. He fires it in there. We'll start with Josh Allen. When he throws this ball,
yeah, I'll pause it for you.
Look where his body is leaning. Like he's sliding to his left as he hops. Stop right there. He's not really his shoulders are downfield, but he's not stepping with this throw. It's almost like a little mini throwing across his body a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you said, this is just pure arm talent.
Across his body.
Yes, he just flicks it, and it's a laser for like 35 yards. Flicks it on a rope. Oh, I got to stop real quick. John, thank you so much for being here. Thank you very much for the super chat. And John comes in and mentions one of the other points I'm going to bring up on this, Ryan Bates. So if we look at Ryan Bates right there, right guard,
right here.
Oh, I don't know if Bates just really executes a snatch trap right here, or if the defender starts to stumble from his get off and then Bates just buries him. Either way, we get a little finish him fatality action right here. And Bates just drives his man. I think he snatch traps him. Just the defensive tackle tries to get leverage. Yep. Bates just clears the hands, pushes him down, and just makes him eat dirt. And then gets on top of him, takes him out of the play. I also like Devin Singletary in the backfield helping out on Autry. Autry takes a wide alignment, something we've seen Von Miller and company do these first 2 weeks. It puts that tackle, and any tackle, left or right, it puts them on an island and it puts them out in space. This time, Dawkins tries to be the aggressor, and he takes more of that jump set. Autry uses it to his advantage, sets him up outside, comes back inside. Actually might have a clean lane to Allen.
Yeah.
I still think Allen's able, with his pocket manipulation, he can still step to the left further and kind of put Dawkins back into position by manipulating the pocket. But a good block from Devin Singletary coming through and chipping a little bit and helping out, reading what's going on in front of him, seeing the potential vulnerability and helping out Deion Dawkins. And then just a laser, like an absolute laser from McKenzie. What I also like from Allen as well, I think he puts this ball in this position where it's kind of tailing down on purpose so that way McKenzie doesn't get lit up by the safety and the ball stays away from Byard coming on the back end. Because you see Byard bail from the box. He's that other deep half safety. I think McKenzie settles down. He gets right in that position. Yeah, you'll see Byard, as you just circled right there, as McKenzie makes this catch. You see Byard just come into view right there. If this ball hangs up a little bit, or if he leads McKenzie too far on the over, it's potential for him to get hit, potential incompletion, potential bobble. You never know. I think he leads him to the ground with this throw to protect him, to protect the catch opportunity. So it's also really good ball placement and ball location 100%. From Josh Allen. And we got another comment here. John, thank you very much again for the super chat and for being here. And he says the Bates Motel is real. I like that. So yeah, Bates took Jones to the Bates Motel on that one and absolutely buried him into the turf, which was not great for him.
No, not great. Not great at all. All right. So once again, getting into the arm talent portion of this, this one was, this was one that I was like really scared watching it live. Seeing the ball come out kind of like fluttery. It was not one I was too fond of seeing it come out of his hand, but then checking it out. I saw it, I think, on like the sky cam in the game. It put it into perspective, but this end zone angle will do the same thing for you. The way that Josh Allen can pump fake and reload so quickly, but then also the way he's just hanging in this pocket with 97 just crashing down on this play and the ability to just get the ball off platform. Just this is not proper mechanics at all. Once again, you can see his base is just, it's not pointed at his target. Left foot is pointed outside a lot. And it's a weird sidearmy 3/4 angle throw.
This is not teach tape. You are not showing this to young
No.
quarterbacks and being like, this is how you build your mechanics.
You're showing this to fans being like, hey, can your quarterback do this? And you see, yeah,
Mm.
maybe once every blue moon. And that's the kind of thing. It's just like,
Just
you
flicks it
gotta
again.
appreciate that arm strength, the arm ability to get that ball there quickly and get it to Diggs before anyone closes on it. And you can see McCreary is closing. We know McCreary has closing speed. We talked about it all off season, but he gets it there off a back foot, terrible base throw. It's just a great throw by Josh Allen under pressure. I mean, weirdly under pressure, obviously not a free rusher or anything, but moving his offensive lineman back into his face like that, it's not a comforting feeling as a quarterback, and he gets it off and gets it to Diggs in a timely manner.
And he has to like kind of throw it like this because of that pressure affecting the depth of the pocket. He almost has to like bend this throw either around Morris and the defensive tackle or like snap it above them. And so he adjusts his arm angle, he sees it and just zips it right in there again, just like a little flick of the wrist and bang. Like it's just so much juice on the ball. And that's, again, I don't think this is anything crazy from a scheme development, play or anything that's wild from structure and just anything that happened here. Like this is just one of your guys having a lot of talent and being able to pull things off. This is, and not even to use this example because of the Jordan Palmer video that we've talked about, but this is like Steph Curry just like pulling out a ridiculous 3-point shot. And you just sit there and you're just like, dude, like we had good defense on this guy, like hand was in the face, like, but he changes his angle on the jump shot or he changes his release point in order to be able to get the shot off and it still goes down. Oh, good comment here. Yeah, it looks like the pump fake was to get the D lineman's arm up so he could find a lane. I wouldn't doubt it. Like, because
you can see him be like, "Oh, okay, this is where your arm's gonna be. All right, I'm throwing it over here."
Then it right over his head so he can get it into that window. I
like that comment a lot.
It's again, I just think Josh is. You see so many examples of just physical ability that other quarterbacks do not have, or you see some of that mental and cerebral aspects of his game that manifest in a variety of ways. And at this point, he's just able to beat you in a variety of ways. And this one, 97 wins his rep, like drives. It's not, a free rusher, like he said, and Morse anchors down a little bit and Josh is able to navigate if he needs to.
But in ways, that is a hurry.
Yeah, I would agree. Like you drove your man back. You drove Mitch Morse 5-6 yards back into the backfield. There is some pressure closing down. Josh isn't in great position to make a throw. He's off platform, like you said. He's leaning the wrong way. Like his shoulders aren't really turned. He's not even able to like step into this throw. This is just like almost elbow and wrist, and he just flicks it. And not only do you get the zip on the ball, but the ball placement. Like he's able to lead Diggs into this catch and away from McCreary and away from Cunningham, who's dropping underneath as well. So he gets it to the soft spot in the opening in the field. Diggs reads it. He gets there. Like, again, there's just so many examples in this game. That's why I'm going to keep, driving it home why, it's not hyperbole with the chosen title here of how the Bills ran circles around the Titans. It was just, they were going where the Titans were not in so many ways. And if they went left, the Bills went right. If they picked chocolate, they picked vanilla. No matter what you did, you were almost wrong, whether it was because of individual talent of Josh Allen or someone else, or because it was scheme or both. It just seemed like once the Bills got into that rhythm, after they were stopped early, it just seemed like they could do no wrong. They were just taking whatever the Titans were giving them or playing above what was happening. And when that happens, you're almost in a lose-lose scenario.
There definitely was a lot of that feeling like nothing could go wrong, kind of just opposite of Murphy's Law on Monday night. I mean, the botched punts will
Allen's Law. When you get a punt, when you punt for like the first time and the dude bobbles it and you recover at that, it's the opposite of Murphy's Law night. Like that's what it is.
It is. All right. So this is the last play of the night. And I think this is one of the more fun plays to look at. It's that post corner or that corner post. Excuse me. I labeled it post corner.
Get it together.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a corner post touchdown from Steph Diggs here. You see the safety dropping down into that cloud area into cover 3 sky. And you can see that Diggs is just putting Trey Avery in a really tough position here. I don't think we're actually going to see it from the end zone camera. I know I saw it on Twitter, but it's not going to have the same effect. So I'll slow it down here for you. But you can see because they're dropping into cover 3, this guy's going to be in this area. And then this is the deep third on Diggs' side. This is deep third middle. And then this is deep third on the other side. So we're going to have Diggs really just one-on-one against this guy. And because of how Josh Allen holds this safety and tries to hold him as far as he can in the middle here, we're going to see Diggs have a clean shot one-on-one. And the way Diggs sets up this corner post, it really reminds me of Davis last year on that touchdown against the Chiefs, where you run that corner and you attack right in between his hips. You attack the center of his body, and he's not going to know where to go. I kind of equate it to like when you're playing tennis and someone hits the ball right at you and you don't know if you can go forehand or backhand. That's kind of what I equate it to. It's just I don't know where to turn my hips right now. I know I have to turn them, but I don't know which way. So that's what Diggs does to this defender here. And yeah, the end zone doesn't do it justice, but what the end zone does do justice to is the ball placement. The ball placement on this throw is absolutely immaculate. Drops it in the breadbasket for Diggs, right on stride, right into the end zone, and hits the perfect somersault right into the end zone for the touchdown.
You know, the Bills don't often get two things. They don't often get man coverage, and they don't often get single high, coverages in general, whether that's cover 1, whether that's cover 3. And they have a beautiful, concept here with having McKenzie come across the middle and occupy Kevin Byard at safety. They're almost like a little bit of a, Y cross type of action for McKenzie, where he just comes across on that deep over and occupies that safety. And this is like right here, you're done. Because if Byard doesn't come off and come up and try and slice that route from McKenzie keeps going on that over, exactly like I highlighted there. Well done. And Allen hits the deep over to Isaiah McKenzie. If Byard does come up and take McKenzie like he does, you've got Stephon Diggs on this corner post or stutter go, however you want to classify it. I think first thought it was an out and up. There's either way, a double move where he attacks the space, gets the corner on skates, and then attacks the space that's left vulnerable in the deep third. It's a good concept. It's a good read by Josh Allen. You hit my favorite point regarding Stephon Diggs. I love the way he just eats up the space against Avery. And you see Avery at, the top of this route as he tries to, turn and run. He's so much on his heels that he stumbles. And he doesn't fall down like Mike Hughes did. But here, if you go a little slow-mo, he's trying to break down.
Right here.
Because he thought Diggs was going to settle. Diggs did not
see his arms flailing.
Yes, he is on skates. He is in a bad way. If you're even, you're leaving, it's over. And we see this consistently. Gabriel Davis does it a lot as well. The Bills receivers, they attack off coverage. They attack the cushion. They attack the space that those corners give them. And they make them have to make a decision. And they make them have to make a play. And if your read isn't correct, if your hips aren't in the right position, if you're not fluid enough, if your footwork isn't clean, it's easy to fall down like Mike Hughes, or at best, just get put on skates like Avery does here. And so it's a really good individual route for Stephon Diggs on something that's, simpler and not as complicated of a route as this corner post or stutter go, however you're going with here. So it's a good route runner executing a well-designed route in a well-designed scheme against the coverage, honestly, that perfectly lines up. And then also what you can have there too is if it turns out to be a cover 2 look, depending on where the coverage is, McKenzie could also maybe sit down or split those two safeties, or you have that back that's leaking out. And so if they have everything covered because they go too high, Josh Allen can check it down underneath to Devin Singletary because there's all this space underneath. Like there's all these different options and levels and layers based on what the coverage brings you. And beautiful throw, beautiful route, touchdown. I feel bad for Avery. But the right play call at the right time, the right read, putting the defense in a bind. And again, it's everything coming together. It's not just enough that you have the good play call and the good design and the right coverage. The quarterback has to be able to see it. You have to be able to execute. You have to be able to make that throw. Oof. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful day from the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they really lit it up against the Tennessee Titans. And that is exactly where we wanted to bring in our sponsor and really hammer home what this play is. And this is the light it up play from the game, in our opinion, sponsored, of course, by Nickel City Cigars.
Of course.
I mean, this is the play of the game. It is that home run, light it up type of play. It lit up the scoreboard. This was the final. This was the touchdown to get us to 41 points, I believe. I could be wrong. That was probably the RPO to Diggs. But
I don't know. There were so many scores.
Man, this was the play that really just made it feel like this game was going our way. Like anything we wanted to do, we could do it. And it just, this is that sexy play where, you know, you get that double move, everything's in sync, ball just gets dropped right in the bread basket. Everything just sunk up so perfectly. So once again,
and it's also, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you got it. No, you're good. You're good. What's up?
Copy that. It's also like an example of why teams started moving away from cover 3 and these single high looks, because you're vulnerable on the seams and you're also vulnerable to these like deep overs, depending on how you choose to play them, because you either have to rely on your second level defenders to recognize that over and pick it up coming across, or you have to have your post safety slice it. And then again, even if that works out, you're still vulnerable in the seams potentially. This is why teams have started to move away from single high coverages and cover 3 and gone more to the 2 high looks and try and limiting these explosives. And that's also what's like, so think about it, everything to this point, right? We talked about it earlier, and that's why we chose this plays, you know, the light up, you know, play of the game sponsored by Nickel City Cigars. This is also a culmination of so much else that has happened in this game. All of these free access RPOs and all this underneath working.
Right.
And you go, so one time you go cover 3 and you try to have more coverage in the intermediate and the underneath, and you get hit for a shot play. This isn't the only time they went single high. This isn't the only time they went cover 3, but it's just like you keep baiting them. Like, we're just going underneath. Right. We're just going underneath. And then finally they're like, all right, let's, you know, maybe we don't have to play this way. Maybe we don't have to play completely top down and put a ceiling and a roof on this offense. And then boom, you get gashed right at that moment. It's just hitting them where they're not and making you wrong almost no matter what you do. And it had to have been a very, very, very frustrating night for the Tennessee Titans. And that's a shame.
You love to see it. You hate to see it.
I love also the positive comments coming through. Oh, I had to go back to that last play, Kendall, because John gave us a super chat again. Appreciate you, John, as always. He wanted us to watch Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown.
I love how he's always just like right on the O lineman every single time on these like Josh Allen.
You can tell what Josh what John values. Spencer Brown puts his man into the dirt on this one. So very beautiful highlight. Spencer Brown there, put him in the crosshairs a little bit. And he IDs his man, gets out in that 45-degree set. His man stumbles. Nice, calm, cool, collected. Watch the spin. Again, you don't want to get too aggressive. Stay under control. Gets the hand placement. Turns back inside. Yep. His man loses balance, and he puts him into the dirt. Good protection. Spencer Brown had a couple of rough reps in this game. This was a solid one for him. Need more consistency from him in that regard. It'll go a long way towards helping this offensive line, you know, hit more of their floor. But good call out there from John, you know, reacting to that spin move and that athleticism and putting his man into the ground and protecting good old Josh Allen. I love the comment here from Dobbs saying cover 1, Buffalo, the best Bills content channel out there. We appreciate you, T. Dobbs. I also love cats, so I love that your icon is an adorable cat, so I'm a huge fan of that as well. I know likes can look different for certain people. RJ says there's 240 watching and only a Dawson Knox amount of likes, meaning 88. Hit that like button. just in case anyone doesn't know, likes legitimately our currency for us. They go a long way towards helping us to track and trend in front of more eyes and ears, helping the show to grow, the channel to grow. So if you are here and you are enjoying this content, please, 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 and thank you, drop a like on this video here on YouTube. It goes a long way legitimately towards helping us to track and trend in front of more eyes and ears. Kendall, as we start to wrap up here on this show, final thoughts about the Bills versus Titans game, maybe a final thought that leads into the game of coming up against Miami. Could be anything. Do you have anything as we sit here right now? I asked you when we started, what your initial thoughts were coming out of this game. Now, as we sit here, moving past this game, still looking at it for some sustainability pieces and factors going forward. But now as we head towards week 3 with a big showdown in Miami, what are you thinking about?
What I will say is if it's tough for me to manage expectations, I can only imagine how tough it is for Bills Mafia to manage expectations. But I feel like it's been really tough to manage expectations after this win against the Titans and the win against the Rams, because just could do no wrong. Barely anything went wrong in either of those games. So it's really tough to just sit here and be like, oh yeah, you got to improve in this area, you got to improve in that area. But I am really looking forward to this matchup against the Dolphins, not because of all the, the talking, smack talking with Dolphins fans and all that. I'm really excited to see how, one, if we can get that run game going, see how much that it can help out Josh Allen, just take pressure off of him, but also take pressure off that RPO game and make life easier in that RPO game. And then on top of that, thankfully, Dane Jackson's all right, but I'm pretty certain he's probably not going to play this week.
Yeah, I would expect him not.
I know nothing about what's happened since the injury, but if I was a coach, I wouldn't play him after that. But moving forward, obviously that means Waddle and Hill going against 2 rookies in Benford and Ingram. So that's squarely where my eyes are going to be. It's going to be on how are those guys going to man up? How are they going to just drop into zones? What is the plan to mitigate any risk you have from those rookies on Hill and Waddle and that prolific RPO offense of the Dolphins? So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Bills decide to defend that offense now that they're, reloaded with all sorts of weapons now. So very, very much looking forward to that game and what's going to come of that schematically.
My head is in a similar position. Real quick before that, I want to pull up this super chat from DF Forever. Thank you very much for being here. You've been commenting nonstop this episode, the engagement with the chat and with us as well. And thank you very much for the monetary donation. He says, or she says, thank you for all you do, Cover One. That being said, we, the fans of Cover One, are greedy. Plan on doing some PFF grades at some point. Great job. # Cover One. # number 1. That's very awesome. Thank you very much for the kind words. I've never thought of, grades or evaluations like that. I have my own evaluations. I'll speak for myself here. I've never thought of doing a PFF grading type of system. My worry is because even with the PFF grades, I don't subscribe to the PFF grades. I love a lot of their advanced metrics and their analytics and what they put together.
Right.
It's hard to put quantifiable grades that much onto players, especially when you don't necessarily know what their job was on an individual play. So I have some issues with the PFF grading system, and I don't think it's necessarily because they're not doing it right. I just think it's hard to assign a numerical value in a grading scale based on the variability that exists within the game of football. And I don't know if I could hold myself to the standard that I would hold them to. It would be hard to do. But, Kendall, you have any thoughts on that?
I'd love to do it. But, yeah, you're right. Hammering home some sort of perfection to that grading system, it's super tough. The only people that are going to get those grades right are the coaches coaching those players because they know those assignments. They know what the player's supposed to do. They know the player's limitations, all of that stuff. Yeah, I like you said, echo that. I love what PFF does on a lot of levels, but the grading thing is really, really hard to get precise. So while I don't necessarily subscribe to it, I acknowledge that it's really hard to get right.
I want to clarify something for DF. He says, I can give you guys a subscription login if you want. No. We have a subscription. We just don't look at the grades.
Yeah.
We look at passing depth and concept and route runs and different blocking schemes and different percentages in a variety, literally almost like I would say almost like every chart and category that PFF has minus like the grading
Minus the
scale.
grades. Yeah,
I
it's
think
actually
we pay
funny that I
attention
didn't
to.
think about that. Yeah, it's like every single column I will look at except for the final thing that they spit out,
Yeah.
the grade.
Even like for a corner, like I'm not looking at a corner's grade. I'm looking at man percentage, zone percentage, reception percentage, yards per
Right.
reception, how many times they were targeted, like all of these things that PFF tracks and trends, which is, fantastic. But yeah,
Yeah,
I've never really
really
paid
good
attention
stuff.
to the grades. Yeah, it's really great stuff. But I do echo your sentiments as we head into Miami. I think, we didn't talk defense in this episode, but I think that's where my head is at. We talked so much this offseason about scheme versatility on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm.
And a lot of it was, talking about combating the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Tyreek Hill goes from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Miami Dolphins. And now you've got that speed element that gave you problems in Kansas City times 2, combined with better route running with Jalen Waddle. Granted, you had it with Mecole Hardman in Kansas City, but
Gesicki's
Hardman
still
is
there too.
Gesicki is still there. You've got speed out of the backfield with Mostert and Chase Edmonds. I'm very interested to see how this defense combats Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, potentially without Micah Hyde, probably without Dane Jackson. So you're relying on 2 corners and maybe Jaquan Johnson and Jordan Poyer back there. So you're
Right.
not going
Yeah.
in, when healthy, the Bills have 3 All-Pros in their back 4. They might only have 1. Even if Hyde plays, maybe he's not 100%. So
Right.
many variables in that aspect. And on top of that, even if they were healthy, you're still trying to test out that scheme versatility piece and how you handle that speed of Hill and Waddle, and something
Right.
that
It's a good early test for that.
very good early test, and something I've said all offseason, which is why like I thought Miami could make some noise. One, I think, me personally, I think Tua is better than a lot of other people give him credit for, especially within the Bills community. But part of my thinking was, even if he's awful, you just got to get the ball to Hill and Waddle somehow. You don't have to be great. Like, you could just underhand toss it or backhand pitch it to one of them in space. And even if they're dead to rights, they can still get you like 4 to 6 yards just because of their speed and how elusive they are, let alone if you make a mistake physically, if you make a mistake mentally, and all of a sudden it turns into a house call and 6 points pretty easy. Tua has been playing, a little better, but even if he's awful, those weapons are so unique and so rare that I thought it was, I don't want to say there was an easy bar for success, but I thought like that helps him out so much. And then you add in the Gesicki piece and how good of a receiving threat he is, especially when he's not, having to be forced as a blocker, which is not his strong suit. I'm very interested to see how this secondary holds up. Does Tremaine Edmonds have another stellar game? How does Matt Milano play? What does this defensive front look like? Miami revamped their offensive line. The Bills revamped their defensive line. Miami's O-line has still been kind of meh. The Bills' defensive line is killing it. What do we get? So my head is really focused on that defensive side of the ball for the Bills as we go in. And, I'm very encouraged, though, again, coming out of this Tennessee game with the offensive performance. Josh Allen's rolling. Ken Dorsey seems to be rolling. Hopefully that success and that rapport continues. There's a lot to like when it comes to this Buffalo Bills team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what else there's a lot to like with? Cover one pass. So now some of you might say like, oh, what is one pass? Well, it's our special Cover One Club access. And you might say, why subscribe to One Pass? Well, we'll tell you. You get exclusive members-only content. You get in-depth analysis, including scheme, play, and player breakdowns, scouting reports, analytics analysis, access on unlimited devices, access to the Cover One community via the Cover One Slack channel, which is absolutely awesome. Everyone on the team, including all the Slack channel members who are subscribers, constant communication back and forth about the Bills, about other teams. There's fantasy football channels. There's a lot going on in the Cover One Slack, and you get that access to the Cover One contributors across the team. You get behind the scenes content and access to the Cover One glossary, something where myself, Kendall, and Eric all break down certain scheme elements or pieces or more X's and O's about football and more of a teaching video type of format. You get the playback options with watching live games with Greg and Eric. You get potential film room classes with Eric or myself or Kendall, breaking things down even further and more of a private, one-on-one classroom learning type setting. It's really everything to kind of push us forward as we continue to grow and expand, but also increase the reach that we're able to have for that education piece for everyone that's part of this Cover One community. So go get yourself some Cover One pass after you go to Nickel City and get yourself a nice cigar. I'll throw out a disguise coverage one as well, and then get some One Pie Pizza while you're at it because it's the best in Buffalo, hands down. Whew, better buckle up. Battle in Miami, upcoming Sunday. Back to the 1 p.m. or elite Sunday games, no prime time. So we get our first Sunday 1 o'clock action of the year.
Yeah.
A lot on the line. Miami wants this one. The fan base wants it. The team wants it. The Bills, as Tom Ernisi, who I had on disguise coverage last night, he said, the Bills are the juggernaut that you have to beat. And even if you don't beat them, you have to remain competitive. This game is very important to the Miami Dolphins franchise in terms of how the rest of their season goes, because they are using this game against the Bills as a measuring stick, Mike McDaniel's words. So it means a lot to Miami. Obviously, it means a lot to the Bills. The Bills aren't rolling in 100%. Oof, as if you needed any more, reason to get amped up or nervous or excited about a Bills-Dolphins matchup. So, very, very exciting. This episode was absolutely fantastic. And Kendall, as always, wouldn't have been able to do it without you. And especially tonight, because we had to do it without the third member of this team, Eric Turner. He was unavailable, although he was here in ghost form in the chat.
Killed it in ghost form.
Yeah, he crushed it in the chat. Absolutely showed out there. And we couldn't have done it without all the live viewers. We love the live engagement here on the show. From a selfish perspective, the kind words, the super chats, the positive feedback, all that. But just in general, the engagement, seeing the chat constantly, kind of going through that Rolodex and the comments
with each other.
Yes. Yeah. You folks engaging with each other, engaging with us, asking us questions, throwing things our way, us maybe not seeing it for a moment, someone else answering that, someone in the chat, and then that dialogue happening. We just love to see the interactivity that exists with the fan base that we have here at Cover One and what's been created here. So thank you very much to all the live viewers who tuned in. If you are not watching this live and you watched later, thank you very much for your view coming in that later form. If you are listening on any one of the podcasting apps or platforms, thank you for your listen, your download, whatever and however your form of support comes for us. We are tremendously and greatly appreciative of that. And if you are here on YouTube watching now, watching later, please drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the Cover One Film Room here on YouTube. If you are listening on any one of the podcasting apps or platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please rate and review the Cover One Film Room. Please subscribe to the Cover One Film Room as well. Tell all your family and friends and loved ones about how awesome this show is. Or if you thought this show was terrible because Kendall is the worst, try and tell your enemies and try and ruin their day and lie to them and tell them about the show. And then they come on and they're like, oh man, my day is ruined. And maybe, you get some shouting fraud and you feel better because you've ruined your enemy's day. I don't pretend to know the inner workings of the minds of our audience, but there's options for everyone here. For myself, Anthony Prohaska, for Kendall Mirsky, for Ghost, Eric Turner, this has been another episode of the Cover One Film Room. We appreciate all the support you folks give us. We hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe and taking care of one another. Be kind to one another. We will see you next week live Tuesday at 9 p.m. at our regularly scheduled Cover One Film Room time. We had to pivot this week because of the Bills game on Monday. It takes a little time for the film to process. So we will be back next week live Tuesday at 9 p.m. to break down the film on Bills Dolphins. Take care of one another. Be kind to one another. Stay safe. And as always, go Bills.